Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. This week on farm we have managed to finish drilling a summer cover crop following the whole crop rye and subsequent mole ploughing. After a little rain we even managed a timely rolling. Here you can see on the right the better crumb we've achieved after a second roll. As a result, the field received 2 passes with the rolls. Later, despite an unfortunate event where a missing pin resulted in a meter wheel suffering damage on the moor, we did manage to return to an area of AB15 drilled last autumn to touch up some areas where germination of the legumes were less than ideal. However, my main focus this week has been the 2 days I spent at Groundswell 2023. I started by attending a presentation sharing the lessons learned in establishing agroforestry systems on farms. We have set up a small blackthorn orchard to produce sloes about 4 years ago and have approval for a larger silvopasture system for our turkeys to be planted this winter. Interesting, the layout and design were very important to success, and the size of tree and the plant protection can have a serious impact on the cost of establishment, rising from 15 to 30 pounds a tree. This week we took delivery of a cubicle bedder which we're hoping to use to add mulch or wood chip to our trees, a lesson we've already learnt. From there to a very well attended presentation of the King's cover crop plots. I remain interested in summer cover crops with no grasses to cover our CSS SW6 requirements. Locally, there have been lots of reports of BYDV infections in winter wheat, so I'm keen to limit the green bridge and host habitat for aphids. Certainly the success we achieved with rolling in the frost means I'm less concerned about including frost hardy plants in the mix. Next, I popped into a break crop rotation debate hosted by the AHDB and chaired by our friend John Palsy. Although very well attended, I'm not sure that there were many new options available other than the suggestion that we grow hemp. The session of the day for me was either the lecture on restoring the soil food web, where I found the presentation by Nick Padwick especially helpful, or the integrated pest and disease management lectures by Joel Williams. It appears to me that once you start creating compost, the next stage of creating compost extract and the application either as a drench or with the seed as a coating or in the furrow is a serious challenge. Right from the microscopy level, identifying which organisms are in your extract, ensuring that you are working with the good guys, through to the application machinery. Di Hegarty's ranch in Western Australia is certainly my motivation and currently the objective I'm working towards. I found it interesting that Joel Williams spent time on silicon, a nutrient which was short in our last sap analysis. As a direct result, I've placed an order and the application should go on next week. This week I also signed up for Yen Nutrition. Again, I'm keen to have our seed tested to see if the action we took during the growing season will feed through to the seed. Joel's also spent some time describing the weakening effect nitrogen has by elongating cell walls. We have treated all regenerative spring wheat with its first foliar urea treatment, and certainly I believe we are seeing a degree of bolting. However, this might be a response to the stressful, very hot weather of the previous few weeks. After Joel's lecture, I got the opportunity to visit John Hawkins' demonstration where he was broadcasting wheat into a cover crop with his front-mounted fertilizer spreader and then cultivating it with a rear-mounted carrier. It is certainly a disappointment of mine that this growing season we didn't manage to run a broadcaster trial. I think the wet spring would have provided an ideal opportunity to experiment. Whether it's Gabe Brown or Joel Salatin, regenerative farming has always had a focus on enterprise stacking, the idea of getting the same area of land to produce more sales. Some might argue that this is simply mixed farming, but I think regenerative farming goes somewhat further. Wednesday closed with a discussion on enterprise stacking. Whether it's laying hens following milking cows in the case of Tim May, or suckler cows in the case of Nicola Renison, or simply adding milk producing sheep to an existing Romley breeding flock operation within an arable system as described by Joe Franklin. All these new ventures will require new skills, whether it is simply learning new production skills or marketing and sales of the new product lines. Next, it was a rather dry lecture from Simon Marrington of Till Hill Forestry, creating woodlands for cash and carbon. It appears that the majority of UK farms come with around 10% of hedgerows or woodland, and I was hoping to gain an insight on how to utilise woodland better. However, the majority of the presentation related to new plantings and the opportunities to generate grants and carbon credits to improve the returns from woodlands. However, all of this was forgotten during the high energy market gardening speed dating event, an event to match landowners who have a couple of acres that could be put to better use growing vegetables with market gardeners with a passion for growing fruit and veg. As a landowner, I'm always on the lookout for passionate people who we can work with to further their ambitions and dreams. If that sounds like you, please get in touch. Finally, the double lecture by the legendary Nicole Masters on enhancing underground communication. Her lecture focused on what weeds are trying to tell us about our soils. Interestingly, she suggested we put broadleaf weeds like thistles or nettles, which currently grow in my regenerative spring crops, and send them off for nutrient analysis with a cash crop sample to see whether the nutrient profiles are different. Her supposition was that the weeds would be pulling up nutrients that are missing in the topsoil of the affected area. I might give this a go. So watch this space for some interesting analysis samples. The whole event was interspersed with conversations and connections with like-minded farmers. Certainly, it was a creative and thoughtful week. Thank you all for watching. Please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe and click on the bell to get notifications of when our next video goes live. Till next time, bye.